Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Max. How about yourself?
You know, I'm doing pretty well myself. We had some good college football games this week. Better than the week before, I
would
guess
agree.
we'll say.
Yeah, I would agree, yes.
So let's hop straight into that review then.
So, first off, we had our New Year's Eve game between
Yes,
Penn State Nittany Lions and the Boise State Broncos, where Boise State's kicker cost us the cover.
Yeah, he did.
Penn State wins this game 31-14. Katron Allen really dominated this game in the backfield for Penn State.
Yeah, he did.
And Penn State's D-line was really able to just slow down Ashton Jeanty.
They did a terrific job, not only slowing down Ashton Jeanty, but creating frustrating looks for that offensive line. Boise State's offensive line has been dominant throughout the season in the run game, but they just weren't able to get to the second level. The speed, the ferocity of those Penn State backers were just too much, causing Jeanty to get hit in the backfield, wasn't able to let him get the full head of steam that he's used to before he plows over guys. And yeah, really good game plan by Penn State. This game was a lot closer, kid, I think, than the score really reflected, especially early on in the first half. Boise State was right in this game. It was their game to, control, to cover easily, and just not being able to finish off drives killed them.
Yeah, like you're saying, especially with the not being able to finish off drives. You have that opening drive to start the game. It's a 4th and 2. You would think probably you'd go for that.
I like going for
it. But instead you try the field goal, miss it 20 yards left of the goalpost. Not even close. So that was great. Another missed field goal by our boy Dalmas later in the game, which could have got it within a 7-point game at that time. But really, it was a lot of stuff came down to Michael Madsen not being able to throw it to the correct team. They had that one where it's 3rd and 15. You're in field goal range. Mm-hmm. And it said he's trying to get the first down, trying to get a touch, play a little hero ball. Doesn't even see the high safety. It was easy to just cut it. He did not have that good. He started the game off looking really well, too. He was finding the open receiver, getting the ball in the right spots. And then it seemed like just as the game progressed, he got worse and worse and was just throwing it a lot of the times to Penn State.
Correct.
Our next game, though, was the Longhorns and the ASU game, which got a little scary, to say the least. We got our ASU covered. Texas wins in double overtime, 39-31.
Yeah, Caden, much like Boise State, Arizona State just couldn't finish drives early on in this game. The first 3 quarters, Arizona State was dead in the water, just couldn't finish drives. And our guy, Cam Scatabo, who we told you before coming into this game, he is deadly, went absolutely ballistic, and he was vomiting, he was getting IVs, he was doing everything he could to keep Arizona State in this game. And it was honestly a defensive collapse by Texas. You give up a few plays, allow...
Yeah, on that Cam Scatabo passing touchdown, I don't know what Malik Muhammad's doing on that, but that shouldn't have been a touchdown.
Not at all.
Not at all.
But just dumb stuff like that. Really poor play by Texas down the stretch. Texas doing, Texas things, as we talked about early in the pod. But they were the better team in overtime when it mattered, and Arizona State's magic just ran out and just didn't have enough plays. Horrible way to end the game with a bad interception.
Dude, I mean, Bert Auburn, the hell are we doing, man? The announcers are praising you. Made the most field goals in Texas football history. Way right. Then they couldn't have set him up better for that game-winning field goal.
Goes back to the
dude,
left.
Just perfect. They Quinn gets him to the center of the field. Nice, easy chip shot.
Maybe you should have left him on that right hash.
Maybe. Yeah, then he doinks it. Go to overtime. And you give up that touchdown, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
But then you respond on a 4th down or 3rd down blown coverage. Really is what happens because of some weird play calling to start that drive. But then, they cut back from commercial. 1 play, Gunnar Helm, touchdown. And then, like you said, the luck run out. Sam Levitt throws that pick to end the game. They get the victory. And now, Texas defense, after being one of these top-tier defense all year, has been little, I'd say, exposed.
They've been shaky,
A little shaky in these first 2 playoff games where they give up a good bit of points here to Clemson and then 31 here to Arizona State.
Yeah, not really a good look if you're Texas moving forward. Want to be able to finish those games. Talk about not a good look, though.
Yeah, and speaking of who Texas is going to be playing next week, a shellacking in the Rose Bowl. 41-21, Ohio State victory. After being out 34-0 early in the first half.
Ken, this game was over about warm-ups, I would say, pregame. Ohio State was not losing this football game from start to finish. Pure domination. Okay, well, there was that second half, was a little bit of a drag out, but the game
they were
was
up 34.
Yeah. when you come out, you blow out a team like that, and Oregon just didn't look ready to play.
No.
They were behind. They were out physical, out schemed, out coached, out every single thing you could think of. Oregon got outperformed, and it was bad for them.
Yeah, Will Howard had 212 passing yards in the first quarter. The first quarter, he has 212. And whose bright idea was it to not cover Jeremiah Smith? Just one of the best receivers in the country. Like, we're not going to cover him. We're going to let Emeka Ibuka beat us deep as well.
Atrocious schematics by Oregon.
And then after we get up big, we're just going to let Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins run down our throat. I mean, it has been, you've seen throughout the year, Oregon's run deep is not that good.
No,
they were not that good. They let Genty go crazy
on
on them. They let Penn State in the Big Ten Championship run all over them.
Correct.
It's like, you do not have a good run deep. You think maybe Ohio State would try to lean on this powerful running back duo of Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, and they didn't need to until the second half when they're like, let's just try to control the clock a little bit more, because play after play, Will Howard was finding open receivers deep down the field for these big touchdowns.
Yeah, Caden, definitely frustrating for Oregon fans, but not a surprise in my books.
Now, our final game, the Sugar Bowl, which wasn't a surprise in my book.
No.
Where the Notre Dame Fighting Irish beat the Georgia Bulldogs 23-10.
Yeah, Caden, ultimately this came down to that 11 seconds in the second half where Notre Dame somehow just decides they're going to go up 17 or not 17 at that point, but go up 10.
Go 10, 13-3, yep.
And swing a game that was 3-3, extremely neck and neck up to that point. That kind of really blew the game wide open at this point. And when you're talking about a backup quarterback, you can't give up special team touchdowns. Georgia put themselves behind, and I said with this backup quarterback, with the recipe, you need to have a lead. You need to force Notre Dame to do the opposite, force Riley Leonard to go out there and throw the ball. That didn't happen, and once Notre Dame has a lead, they're very good at maintaining it and finishing out soundly.
And while Gunnar Stockton didn't really turn the ball over, he had a fine game. What really it seemed like killed Georgia here was the rushing attack.
Yeah,
Trevor Etienne and Nate Frazier only combined for 75 rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
You have these two kind of premier backs in your backfield. You'd expect them to try to carry, especially with their back and court, carry that offense, and they couldn't get it going. You tried to put it down to Gunnar Stockton, who was starting his first game since high school, and it just couldn't be done.
It couldn't be done. It was a poor, that was a little more, one of the more shakier games. I kind of was leaning. I was hoping Kirby Smart's, coaching would be able to get him past. But credit to Marcus Freeman and credit to Notre Dame because they got it done this time.
And big matchups, obviously, which we'll talk about on next Tuesday's episode, which is Texas, Ohio State, and Penn State, Notre Dame to get into that college football playoff championship.
Now, Caden, talking about potential championships, we get NFL playoffs preview, basically. This is, the extended edition of the NFL playoffs. Basically, I don't know how do we want to say it, the round of 16, I guess, for the bracket or whatever.
Trying to get
everyone in.
playoff
spots. People are still batting. Let's talk about this week's game.
So, first game we have where it's the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, where if the Ravens win this game, they will clinch the division, get that home game to start the playoffs. And they are a 20-point favorite over the Browns.
Yeah, Caden, I think 20 points is an extremely large line, just considering it's still a divisional game. The Browns are still prideful, and I don't think they want the Ravens to get the division on them anyway. That being said, the Ravens know what they need to do. I think they're going to get a victory, and I think that just because the fact that they're going to get up, they're not going to want to play Lamar and everyone late. So I think they will teeter off in the fact that the Browns are still, trying to run plays or whatever. Garbage time points will do enough to get that coverage. Just because 20.5 in the National Football League is ridiculous. Yeah. I think the Ravens are going to blow them out, but I think the Browns will cover.
This is a crazy line. This is a line you expect to see in college football.
Correct.
You don't see these lines in the NFL. I mean, the Browns are a bad football team.
Yeah.
The Ravens are still fighting for something. You still have Derrick Henry. You still obviously Lamar. But what you're saying is true. If they get up by a lot, who knows how much you're really going to see them in that latter third into the fourth quarter? Are they just going to sit them down and make sure their defense can hold on to that lead? Who knows? With that being said, though, I still think the Ravens, because they are fighting for something, are going to be able to get in there, get that victory. And I just think it'll be an easy, just blowout victory for them to cover that 20.
All right.
Our other Saturday game, though, which it's big for both teams, especially if somehow the Browns can pull off a crazy upset.
Yes.
Where it's the Bengals at the Steelers, where the Bengals are a 2-point favorite. Bengals need a win and a Broncos loss Steelers need to. They're already clinched, but if they win and the Steelers lose, then they get the division.
Yeah, Caden, again, this AFC North has been crazy all year. Bengals making a late season resurgence, preying on a Broncos downfall, which we cannot let happen. Ultimately, I do think that, the Steelers team has been on the downfall, Caden, and this Bengals team's trending up. They know their playoff life is at stake, and I think the fact that the Steelers already clinched kind of makes it, a little less, at stake for them. And potentially, seeing what the results are even of that Baltimore game before, a lot of that could weigh into effect. I just don't see Joe Burrow and the Bengals coming up short this week.
Yeah, especially, let's say the Ravens, win this game nice, easy. Steelers can't do anything.
No.
So this line, I bet I could see you, if the Ravens do win this game, this line could probably shoot up, right before kickoff.
Yeah.
It's like a touchdown. It's like, Bengals obviously still fighting for their lives. Their offense is elite. They're being able to put up points at will.
Mm-hmm.
This game should be, a nice clean win for the Bengals. I think even if somehow the Ravens lose this game, I still think 2 is too low and the Bengals will come out and get this win.
I like it as well.
Getting to our Sunday matchups here, where starting off we have the Saints and the Bucks, where if the Bucks win, they clinch the division because of that Sunday night loss by the Falcons. So the Bucks are a 14-point favorite over Spencer Rattler and the Saints.
Last time I said 14 was too high of the line and Spencer Rattler was in the cover. Not making the same mistake twice. Our Bucks know what needs to get done. Baker's been there, done that. He's a veteran presence. They're going to be in control of this game, Caden, I think, from start to finish. I think they're going to have an easier time, covering that spread. They might start off a little slow, but ultimately I don't see a scenario where the Buccaneers lose this game and don't cover.
Yeah, because, the Bucks are a good offense, and the Saints are just not that good of a football team. You have Baker, obviously, Mike Evans, Bucky and Rashad in the backfield. They're just got too many playmakers to not be able to, it seems like, put up enough points in this game to be able to get that victory and cover.
I 100% agree.
Another morning game, which doesn't mean anything, but still my Patriots. We're at home against the Bills, where the Bills are a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, somehow the line now has changed in these Bills-Patriots games. I don't know how many players the Bills are going to be playing Caden in this game. I think that's the real reason why that line's short. Honestly, I'm going to go out and say I think the Patriots don't want to win this game.
They better not win this game.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Patriots have got no business winning this game. I think the Bills, obviously can't get that 1 seed anymore, but they still just want to finish off on a high note going into the playoffs. And if they're going to win, it's going to be more than 2.5 because it's going to be more than a field goal.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and say the Bills cover with probably no problem at all.
I agree with you, especially because we have the 1 seed right now.
The 1 seed?
We're the 1 seed, the 1 pick. We have the 1 seed in the draft. We have the 1 seed for the draft. Don't pull what the Giants did last week with Drew Lock. Yeah. Don't go out there and win a game that you shouldn't win. Keep the number 1 overall pick and get yourself a haul come draft day. Don't play for pride or whatever and somehow win this football game. Let the Bills beat you. Get the number 1 overall pick.
If Gerard Mayo wins this game, he should be fired on the spot.
I agree. Gerard Mayo wins this game. Get him out of Foxborough. Now, though, big game. Chiefs at Broncos. Carson Wentz against Bo Nix. Broncos win. They're in the playoffs, and they're a 10.5-point favorite.
Yeah, 10.5 is disgusting work. I don't care if it's the Chiefs backups and Carson Wentz. I am still scared about this game. Obviously, it's a winnable game for the Broncos. This should be a simple cleanup job. I'm going to guess take the minus 10.5 just because it's the backups, and I think the Broncos are going to win. And I don't want people reading, the Chiefs plus 10.5 and think I'm going with the Chiefs. But this game scares me. I think as long as the Broncos don't do anything stupid, Bo Nix takes care of the football this week. No picks.
No picks, Bo Nix.
No picks. Then we'll be all right. Secure a playoff berth for the first time since I was in 5th grade.
Yeah, it seems like the Broncos should be able to go in here against the Chiefs backups, get that win, and finally clinch that dreaded playoff spot they've been longing for.
It's been long for it.
Even with that, though, I just think 10.5 is too high of a spread against a team like the Chiefs who, Carson Wentz isn't anything crazy. He's still a decent enough NFL quarterback.
He knows how to run offense.
Exactly. He knows how to run an offense. I just don't really see this game being a blowout.
Yeah.
I think the Broncos will win, though, clinch their playoff spot. Just don't think they'll be able to cover that big of a spread.
I I'm either going to be a happy guy come Monday or I may not show up for the podcast. We'll see.
Our biggest game of the weekend, though, in my eyes, not as big as in
Not
your
as big
eyes,
as the Broncos game.
but the biggest game in the football world this Sunday.
It's going to be electric.
Vikings at Lions for the 1 seed and the division, where the Lions are a 2.5-point favorite.
Holy crap, Caden. Is this Sunday night game going to be good? You got the two, throwing the Eagles up there, I would say, but the two juggernauts of the NFC going head-to-head, trying to fight a 1 seed. Not only that, clinch a division. The loser of this game, Caden,
has to play a road game.
Has to play a road game, which is disgusting work because both of these teams are deserving of playing at home.
One of these teams are going to be 14-3 and has to play a road game. They're going to have to go to Tampa.
The loser of this game gets the privilege of going and vacationing in Tampa for week 1 and risking Baker Mayfield upsetting them. But, Caden, I just think that the Vikings aren't going to choke. All right, I think Dan Campbell might get too pretty. I think the Lions are very beat up in their defense.
They are so beat up.
And this Vikings offense loves to put up points. They know how to get a rhythm going. And I've bet against the Vikings too many times this season on this podcast. I'm going with them to get the cover.
Yeah, you saw, like, the game we didn't get to cover, the Monday night game, because we had to record earlier. The Lions defense was getting torched by Brock Purdy and that Niners offense the entire game. The over-under for this game is set at 56.5.
Over.
And the over might even be still the play there at the 56.5. The Lions can't really play defense right now.
No.
Obviously, their offense can do basically whatever they want, it seems like. You have all these playmakers, whether it be running back, tight end, receiver, quarterback. They even got good offensive line. Like, their offense is complete, legit, everything you want it to be. Their defense is so banged up. I think they have 16 injuries on the defense that it's just going to be really hard for them to get a stop. And then you look at the Vikings. Their defense is actually pretty good.
It's sound.
It's sound. And Sam Darnold has somehow found some little devil magic this year.
Yes,
that he's put on a career season that, this should be an amazing football game.
Comeback player of the year?
I still think that's the stupidest thing. What did he do to deserve being a comeback?
He came back from being bad. He came back from being a bench player, kicked off the Carolina Panthers.
That's just not, that award still makes no sense.
I think it should be for injured player, but realistically, who's coming back from injury?
It really is true.
So it's Sam Darnold's award.
It's going to be Sam Darnold's award, which is crazy to think about. But, Kevin O'Connell, great coach. Dan Campbell, he's a good coach. But, like you say, he gets a little too risky sometimes. With that being said, though, I'm going to lean with Jared Goff, with the Lions in this game to come in here, get that win, get the cover, clinch their 1 seed. Get themselves that much-needed week off.
Rest.
Because I heard something. If they somehow lose this game, they will have gone, going into next week, they'll have gone 13 consecutive weeks with a football game. They had one of the earliest buys in the NFL this season. They really need this first-round bye.
Yes, they do, Caden.
I think, the Lions will come in here, get that win, get that victory.
It's going to be an electric, exciting weekend of NFL football, Caden. A lot of basically playoff games out there. I'm looking forward to it. What should these people do before they start looking forward to it?
Also, though, before you start looking forward to it, this is Week 18, though. It's incentive week for the NFL.
I missed this part. My bad.
So for stuff, like looking at stuff to bet on, Mike Evans, he can earn up to $3 million in incentives this week if he gets 5 catches and he needs 85 yards to reach his 1,000 for the season. So 5 for 85 is what he needs, and he gets an extra $3 million.
Bet that Mike Evans 80-plus receiving, and also bet that Mike Evans probably over on receptions.
Well, what they will probably do is they'll probably have his reception set at 5.5. So if I had to guess, especially because this game will probably be a blowout, you take him on the under 5.5. You take him just to get his 5, but then you take him over his receiving yards, which will probably be at 84.5. Take him to get over the yards, under the receptions.
But what happens if he doesn't have? What if he has the receptions? If he doesn't have the yards, and they're gonna have to keep.
Then Baker will keep force feeding him. I just think against a bad Saints defense, he's going to get a big player too.
All right.
Also, Geno Smith, he can earn up to $4 million in incentives this week. He needs 186 passing yards for $2 million, and a Seahawks win earns him another $2 million in his Seahawks bonus in his incentives because he'll get 10 wins on the season.
Correct.
Another one, Cortland Sutton, your boy, Cortland
Yes,
Sutton.
he does.
He needs 82 yards for 500K.
Even though he's on the no bet list, though, Caden, what do we do on that? That's kind of a contradiction of interest here.
He's on our no bet list. But I don't know. I mean,
we might have to break.
Might have to break it.
We might have to break for big court.
I don't know if I will.
All right.
You might. Tony Pollard, though, he also can reach up to 500K in incentives this week. 83 rush yards gets him 250.
I don't think he's getting that.
2 tutties will get him another 250.
I definitely.
I don't think he's going to touch. The yards are in play, though.
They are.
Baker, I don't know. You can't really bet anything with Baker to get his incentive. He just has to finish top 10 in yards per attempt. So not much you can do here. One, though, that could be interesting. The last one. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Get an extra $250,000 if he scores a tutty this week. His odds are probably going to be pretty high because who even knows if the Saints will really do anything on offense this week.
Correct.
With Rattler. He could be worth a little sprinkle for that tutty this week. Get him that extra $250K in his pockets.
Yes. Thank you for informing the fans, Caden. It's going to be exciting, like we've said. Thank you guys all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.